Imagine being a young child and growing up in a house that oftentimes felt like a war zone and feeling as if you had to walk on eggshells or apologizing constantly to de-escalate situations or enduring abuse to such a degree that you've blocked out most of your childhood as a result. That was my life for 11 years. And unfortunately, I carried that trauma into relationships and repeated cycles of abuse. My name is Mullissa Caroline. I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault. This podcast is meant to empower you along your healing journey, regardless of where you may be at on that journey, and regardless of whatever has led you to heal your trauma. We all have trauma, and none of us like to talk about it. But I think the biggest step towards healing is when we can look beneath the surface of a trigger and start asking ourselves questions so that we can have an honest and open conversation. And so this podcast is just another resource for you to help you along the way. And I hope you'll stick around. Here's some things I have to say, because I think the more we are informed of the traumas and abuse that's occurring around us, the more impact we can have, and maybe the more change we can create. And maybe we can save a life. Because as sad as it may be, oftentimes abuse and trauma leads to so many other things like suicide or human trafficking. And so, like I said, I hope you'll stick around on this journey with me. Here's some things I have to say, and together I hope we can heal and hopefully create some sort of positive change in the world so we can break cycles together. Hello, and I forgot how to do my intro because I haven't recorded anything in like forever. But my name is Mullissa Caroline, and I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault. This podcast is dedicated to telling my story as well as sharing the healing journey and how I was able to overcome the things that happened to me and how I continue to heal myself even today. So I did not record this episode until the day that it is being published or put out there. I just got back from a 5-day retreat in Tennessee, and I thought I had something prepared, and I did not. So just another example of trauma brain and how forgetful I am. So today I'm going to talk to you about the retreat that I went on. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to be able to see me, and I don't know if you noticed, but my hair is now all one color, green, if you can tell. I colored it yesterday. But a few housekeeping things before we jump into the episode. So there are always links down below, whether they're in the show notes or if you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description box. There is a nonprofit that I support that is called Stop Sis. I'm actually a part of their survivor cohort, which was the retreat that we went on for that 5-day retreat that I was just talking about. It is a nonprofit organization, and it is helping survivors heal and, just kind of life after trauma happens. And so they do have some really awesome programs. And one of the things that they do is they have a way for you to sponsor a survivor. So if that's something you're interested in doing, that link will be down below as well. And they also have a podcast, which I plan on having Rachel on this podcast at some point. She is a survivor of human trafficking. and her story is amazing. She also has a book, and I will leave everything linked down below so you can go check out the podcast or read her book. And the last thing I want to say is if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because that's a great way for you to just, hit the notification bell, hit subscribe, help the channel grow. It's free to do that, and you don't miss an upload when I post stuff. And then if you're watching or listening rather on Spotify, please don't forget to leave a rating. It's another free way you can help me out. And then the last thing is I have a Patreon, which I've been trying to keep up with and posting content on there a week early. So you get to listen or watch the episodes a week before they air. And that link will be down below as well. And then if you want to be friends, we can be friends on Facebook. I'll leave my Facebook and my Instagram down below, and you can go check me out over there. And I think that's enough plugs for the intro to this video or podcast. I've struggled with words when I do this episode, because I know that I'm doing video and audio, and it's just, I'm used to doing only video, and yeah, I'm not used to talking in podcast format. So sorry about that. Anyways, let's talk about the retreat. And trying to keep this very short, but I learned so much while I was there. I think the biggest thing was just taking time and being like in the present moment, because I noticed that I don't know how to do that. So I know for me, and if you're watching this on YouTube, this is not Life Water. This is actually an energy drink. I just put it in here. So I have a problem with the present moment. And I think it's something that a lot of trauma survivors have a problem with, because when we start to kind of still our mind, if you will, like we start to just kind of focus on present moment, a lot of times things like memories or maybe things that we haven't thought about in a long time kind of resurface. And so it's, sorry, that was my dog. It's hard to practice mindfulness when you have trauma. And so when I was at the retreat, and being out in nature is super like grounding. And so hold on. Practicing mindfulness is really helpful, but hard to do when you have trauma brain. And being outside is super grounding and relaxing for me. I don't know if it is for you, but I like being outside. And that's probably because of how I grew up. I was constantly outside, and most of the time without shoes. I was barefoot and running and just gone, and nothing could stop me. I get out the door as fast as I could, especially when we lived on the 50-acre cattle ranch. At that point, I think I was like 12 and 13. And that was kind of when the abuse started getting worse. And so what I would do is just as soon as I could wake up, and if I knew my stepdad wasn't either there or awake or paying attention, and my mom was home, was out the door as fast as I possibly could before somebody gave me chores to do or something, bad happened. And so being outside is super grounding for me, and it's super relaxing. And it's the only way that I've found to be able to practice mindfulness, or just kind of being in the present moment and appreciating the present moment. So just find what works for you, but that's kind of what works for me. So I spent a lot of time outside at the retreat, and I spent a lot of time, I wouldn't say a lot of time by myself. I did spend time with the girls, and we did activities together. We did go hiking and horseback riding, and that was awesome because I'd never been on a horse, and I hadn't been hiking in several years. So, and I was taking pictures of everything during that hike. It was so beautiful, and I didn't want to leave. I remember we stopped at like a river, and I got to put my feet like in the water, and I was just like, it brought back so many good memories of my childhood, but it was also I was actually able to just be in the moment of the present moment of that experience. And that was super healing for me. And we also did, and if you're interested in this, like the stuff, like what I did, they're going to be doing this again. And this is the other reason why I'm telling you about it, because they plan on doing more of these retreats. And I don't know if it'll be in the same like area, but it'll be kind of the same thing. And it's just so powerful to be doing these exercises. Because when we were doing the hike, we did, it's like a 4-mile hike. And I believe we were near the Appalachian Mountains, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. But anyways, we did some releasing exercises. So I like pick up a rock, and like the first one we did was think of someone that you hold resentment towards. And I thought of my ex because I've had a lot of, I've been holding on to a lot of anger and about different things. And so basically what the exercise was is you pick up the rock, you think of the person that you hold resentment towards, and once you throw the rock, you release it, and you're not going to pick it up again. Basically, you're just letting it go, letting it be whatever it is for what it is, and just letting it go. And so that was super helpful for me. We did another exercise, which I think we did the rock throwing like 3 or 4 times, and there was like different ones, but that's the one that stuck out the most to me. And one of the most powerful things that I saw was one of the girls throw it so hard, like so freaking hard. It was just like, wow. And so the other thing we did was a letter. We did a couple of letters actually, and that was really helpful. I wrote a letter to my ex, and that, kind of got everything out. And I've done letters before, and I've written a letter to him before. But the really cool thing about that exercise is you can do it as many times as you need to. And I didn't know I needed to do it again until I was on that hike and doing the journaling and stuff. I just didn't, I think I did the letter first and then the hike, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's crazy the things that sometimes, like if you watch my other episode, I have another podcast episode where I talk about non-attachment. And in that, I talk about how we attach meaning to things and how we hold on to stuff that's not even ours. And so it was so funny to me, because I was like, I'm carrying around stuff that I shouldn't even be carrying around right now. Like I'm carrying around these bags of luggage of like just baggage that I shouldn't even be carrying. Right. I just need to. And so that's what I did on the retreat. I basically decluttered and let go of a lot of things. And I gained some perspective, some really awesome perspective about life and some things that I was doing, and some more episodes that I want to do, because I noticed some things even just about myself. We did an exercise towards the end of the retreat that was a balloon exercise where you get to write something that you either want to honor, release, or I forget what the other thing was. So it was whatever you wanted basically on this balloon. And Rachel's was, it was so powerful. It was so intense and amazing and beautiful and just all things. Hard to put into words. And I don't know if they're going to talk about it on their podcast, so I don't want to give too much away, but it was amazing. So what we did was we wrote some stuff on the balloon, and sorry, my phone is, we wrote some stuff on the balloon, whatever you wanted on the balloon. And for me, one of the things that popped in my head that I didn't know that I was like resentful of. So my background is like what happened to me when I was a kid. The abuse that I suffered was from my stepdad. So my biological father and my mother separated when I was a baby. So he was smoking weed in the house and around us, and my mom didn't like that, obviously, and so she kicked him out. And I didn't actually have a relationship with him until I was in my early 20s. Incidentally, it's a really crazy story actually how I found him. I'll have to share that sometime, but it was one of those God moments or universe just aligning and just craziness of it all. But I did not know this man for most of my life. And I remember when he did come back into my life, telling him about the trauma that me and my sister experienced, and him being very angry naturally. So, you know, being a dad, as I'm sure any dad would be, angry that somebody had hurt their kid or kids in his case, he blamed himself. I think it's very easy to do that. I didn't want, that's not what I intended by telling him, but that, you know, he was my dad. So he blamed himself for not having his act together and not, you know, trying to be better, trying to be the dad that we needed him to be and be the person that we needed him to be. And if he had, then he, you know, my mom and him would have been together and not met my stepdad, and none of it would have happened. So he took on all of that. And I didn't realize that I actually held resentment towards him for that. The fact that he did the choices that he made impacted us. And if he had been a better father, then he would have stuck around, and me and my sister never would have gone through all the things. I actually didn't realize I held resentment towards him for that. And that's a really cool thing. I don't know if cool is the right word, but it's a really cool thing about healing any sort of trauma. I think you're starting to like dig beneath the surface of triggers, and you find things that you didn't even know were there, but they come up because it's time for you to heal them and let them go. And so during this balloon exercise, that's one of the things that popped into my head, and I was like, okay, it's time to let that go, because I'm not mad. You know, I think maybe when I was a kid, maybe I was mad at him. Maybe that's where it comes from. But I wasn't mad. When it came up, I was just like, I forgive you. I don't blame you. You were doing the best you could with the information you had at the time, with the level of consciousness that you had at the time. That's the best that you could do. And I talk about that in my other episode of non-attachment as well. So it's like, not my circus, not my monkeys, basically, you know. I was holding on to something that didn't belong to me, you know. So I wrote it on the balloon and I released it. And yeah, it's just crazy the things that pop up when you finally have time to just like be in a space to think and release things, and then things things just start to come up, and then you can release them and heal and move and grow, and that's what happened. And it was amazing, it was beautiful, and it was overwhelming at times, but also really powerful and amazing. And so worth it. 10 out of 10 recommend. But I wanted to read something that I wrote while I was there. And if you don't follow me on Facebook, you definitely should. I know I said this earlier, but I post a lot of stuff on my Facebook. I like to write. I'm actually writing a book right now, but it's huge process so if you ever want to just like read some short stuff, I do that over on my Facebook. And I'm going to read something that I posted because we did this really awesome exercise. Did this really awesome butterfly exercise. I think it was the last day. Yeah, it was the last day that we were there. We got to release butterflies. So I'm going to read this to you first. And if we have time, I'll read the other thing I wanted to read. But this is about butterflies. And it was so, I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. So when we were on the hike, which was a few days prior to this butterfly release, I didn't know we were doing that. But I was sitting down by the water, and I'm just sitting there, and like, they're all sitting around, like there's rocks and stuff, so we're all like just scattered kind of, but around the bank of the river. And me and Sarah were down like closer, so we could actually put our feet in the water, which was freezing cold, but we still wanted to put our feet because we're crazy. And so I was sitting there, and we noticed that butterflies were just kind of coming in every once in a while. We had a few butterflies just kind of float past us, and it was really pretty. And I was sitting there thinking, my gosh, you know, I'd love it because I'm grew up in the country girl. I love just love nature. I was like, I would love it if a butterfly would just like land on my arm or land anywhere on me. And, you know, I don't care which butterfly it is, because these butterflies, I swear, they just kept coming. They just kept flying around us, and none of them would land on me. And I know not to try to get them. You know, they have to come to you. You know, it's like a whole thing. Anyways, if you didn't know that, you can't make them do it. Butterflies, they do it on their own. So you just kind of be one with your environment. And so I was like, you know, just spoke it into existence in my head. I was like, I don't care what butterfly it is. Can one just come and land somewhere on me? That would be really cool. And right before I got up, I started to get up to leave. And this little butterfly comes flying over and lands right on my arm, like right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see, but it landed on my lower arm. And I'm just sitting there froze like this, and I'm just staring, because I literally, like 10 minutes earlier, had said, can you send me a butterfly? Just like, what? And so I'm just, I holler for, I'm Southern, so we talk weird. I hollered for Denise, and I was like, oh my gosh, Denise, take a picture. And so they, like, her and Sarah are standing like a, I don't know, just like on the other side of the rocks, because I'm still down by the water, and I'm yelling at them, and they both pull out their phones and they just start taking pictures, taking video. And I studied, because I know you can be gentle with them. You just can't touch their wings and stuff, because I've played with butterflies before, but I've never had one land on me. So I put my finger to kind of get her to perch on my finger, and she did. She came on my finger, and I picked her up, and I went to go set her down, and she flew around me, and then she kissed me, like here. I say kiss, but it's like a butterfly kiss is what we call it, and where I'm from. But she basically just kind of came up very gently, touched me right there on the cheek, and flew away. And I was like, it was beautiful. I was just like, this is amazing. I love this so much. And I wish that they recorded it and they took video. There's no way to fully capture that moment ever. There's never going to be a way to fully capture it, to relive it over and over and over again. I wish there was, because it was just so, I don't know, it's mesmerizing. I don't know. It was just a God thing. And it was like being like one, and I'm part Native American too. And so it was very like, I can't explain it. I'm a very spiritual person, and I know butterflies have significance and they have meaning. And so I kept forgetting to look it up. And then the last day of the retreat, we did a butterfly release, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I had one like perch on my finger and release, and we got to release a bunch of them. It was beautiful. And I was like, you know what? I feel like writing. I just feel inspired. And I decided to write this post that took me 10 million years to get to explain to you, but here we go. So this is what I wrote. A butterfly symbolizes spiritual rebirth, transformation, change, hope, and life. A caterpillar does not sit and question its existence or if it can become a butterfly. It doesn't tell itself it can't or that it's not enough. It doesn't compare itself to the other caterpillars or try to find out if the transformation is painful or worth it. It doesn't question or doubt. It doesn't fear or run away. It's a butterfly before the transformation occurs, before we can see it. That means that you are already all the things you aspire to be. You already have everything you need to accomplish everything in your heart. You are already the person you want to be before the transformation has occurred, before we can see it. You're just on a journey to discover who you are and find out what you're capable of. It's been there the whole time. You don't need to go and find yourself. You need to learn more about who you are and what you want. You have everything you need within you. You just have to cultivate those talents. You got this. I believe in you. And then there's a picture of a butterfly. You can see that on YouTube. Otherwise, go over to my Facebook. It's over there. And yeah, so that was a really powerful moment. And then I don't know, that post just came out of me, and I thought it was so beautiful to release butterflies. And I just got to thinking, we already have everything that we need. It's something that we get told quite a bit. And I think sometimes the confusion is we think we have to go find something outside of ourselves, but everything is already here. There's nothing outside of you that you need. And you already have, everything in you. And if you can't do something, it can be learned. The willingness to learn is inside of you. And so if you are thinking of doing something, whatever dreams you may have, I'm here to tell you that anything is possible. And I know it sounds really corny when I say that, but it is true, because I know people that have traveled long distances from, come here to build a life here. And then I know people that have gone to school and accomplished their goals and dreams, and they came from poor communities. And I know people have struggled very hard in life at the very beginning and are living out their dreams now. And so I think it's possible for anybody to accomplish any goals or dreams that you hold in your heart. I grew up in a small town, in a tiny little town, and I was sexually abused from the time I was 7. And I should not be sitting here after all the child abuse, domestic violence, and assault that happened to me. There were some pretty dark times in my life where I did not want to wake up. And I looked at all these girls at this retreat, even the trauma that some of them have experienced, the horrific things that some of them have seen. I can't even, I won't say, because I can't. I can't. It's just, there's so many terrible, awful things in this world, and some of these women have seen it. And to have them sitting in front of me is just a testament to how strong they are. And I'm just here to tell you that if these women can go to this retreat and experience healing and growth and go after their dreams, after the terrible things that they've had to witness in their life, we can all do something with our life. Okay. We can all accomplish goals and accomplish our dreams and do things. There's no excuse. The only thing that's ever standing in your way is you. So just get out of your own way. So a little tough love there, but hopefully that inspired you. And, here's the thing too, like, you cannot motivate anyone. Okay. That includes you. And I've made a video about this, but you cannot motivate anyone. You can inspire them. You can inspire people. Absolutely. It's up to them what they do with it, but you can inspire people. Like an old saying that I heard from one time I was a very small child is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And then my thing that I added on to that was, you could inspire it to drink, but it's up to the horse if it wants to still, So if you're not feeling motivated, and if you are sitting there going, I just need to be motivated. No, you need to be inspired. Go get inspired and do something with that. That's what you need. Anyways, I'm just saying. So there is no goal too big, no dream too big, nothing that you can't do. Don't let your past hold you back, and do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else, because I fell into that trap too. And I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. It served me for a time. And so if you need to do that, do it. I did. But my point is like, just don't ever think that your healing is ever done, because it's not. And don't let the fact that you need to heal your trauma stop you from continuing to live your life, because I'm living proof, and these women that were at the retreat are as well, that we never stop healing, we never stop growing, and we never stop living our lives. And you have everything you need inside of you to do all the things that you want to do. And that was something that I think we all realized. It was like it was transformation. I think the retreat was just super transformative, and we realize that we have everything that we need inside of us. And I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully that inspires you and gets you motivated to do the things that you want to do and live your life for you. So hopefully that helped. If that resonated with you, please leave a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And again, if you're watching this on Spotify or listening on Spotify, leave a rating. And yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to tell my nails are like blue now from coloring my hair. Super great. Anyways, yeah. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Happy Saturday. That's when this is going up, because that's when I recorded it, because I fell behind on my recording. So I will try to do better. I will show up better next week, but I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for watching this episode all the way to the end. Hopefully it made sense. I'll leave all the links down below, like I said before. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe out there. Make good choices. Remember to always be kind to yourself and to others. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.